love and happiness.
Paul, how are you doing this morning?
Really good, thank you.
You've been in the industry for 40 years and now you're releasing your debut solo album. How's it feel?
It feels great. In some ways, I'm a slow mover, taking that long, but in other ways, since my teenage years, we've been playing in venues. I booked my band I was in for decades was called the Cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
It was with a couple of my brothers and mates from school. Because I was the older one, I was 17 at the time. I booked the band, we played in joints in the cross that we weren't even old enough to get into, let alone play. But it was a great beginning, and we had great success. We toured Australia for 10 years, had an album out that went gold and platinum. We're on Countdown, just kind of lived every teenage dream that we had. And we're lucky enough to do it for a long time. And then, from that, my brother Anthony started a group called the Wiggles, which I managed for nearly 25 years. They had some good success too. And I did everything from produce and direct their videos and TV to getting it into selling it around the world. So that kind of explains why for the last, 40 years, I've been doing other things before I got to my own album.
Well, you've also had a family in amongst that as well. I imagine managing the Wiggles plus balancing family leaves very little time to have side pursuits, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. I've got 5 children, and they range from 35 years old to 25, and they're great. And I've just had a grandchild, a little granddaughter, Rafaela. So life can't get much better than that. But yeah, busy life. That's good. Yeah.
Exactly. Not a slow mover, just busy doing other things. I'm curious about the very early days of the Wiggles. When Anthony approached you to manage the group, did you think that like an all-male, relatively young at the time, like children's entertainment group was like a sound career direction? Because for me, I'd be like, okay, guys, maybe. Like, did you think it'd take up the next quarter of a century?
God, no. So he actually, when Anthony's into something, it's 100%, So I said, if any of our family, I should say, get into drugs, we'd last a day, right? So luckily we haven't. In his case, the Cockroaches is still kicking, but he'd done a degree in early childhood studies, and he was fascinated by early childhood music, which is kind of magical, And so during the Cockroaches days, he actually said, why don't we do an album full of kids' music, children's music, which was at the time just, what are you talking about? But eventually, he actually the reason he made the Wiggles album was to help him get a job as a preschool teacher. And it worked. And then because of the success we'd had, he then took it to the ABC. But at the time, no one was like the Wiggles. They were quite unique. And we just gave it a go. We gave it a whirl. We did lots of things. We had a rockabilly band. We had the Cockroaches. Anthony formed the Wiggles, but it was just like something he was doing. And again, if you think about it now, there are very, very few males in early childhood. There are very few non-threatening males on TV and so on. It actually was a great safe space that no one had catered for. Men that sing and dance, great, really positive role models. And there are a lot of single-parent families that need males in them. They kind of fit that bill. But I don't need to sell the Wiggles to you at this hour in the morning, do I?
So when did that phenomenon really kick into gear then? Was there a specific release or appearance that made you guys think, well, this is it. This is the day job now. This is what we're planning.
Yeah. And from their point of view, they did an outdoor show where suddenly there was a big crowd, and they'd been played on the ABC. So that was a start for it. I think when I first got them on TV, funny enough, with the ABC were playing Eclipse, I got them on Channel 7. That was the first time where suddenly you didn't have to do 1,000 gigs to reach, a large number of people. You could just be on TV. And then the biggest one was when we got on in the US we helped launch the Disney Channel.
Right.
Yeah. So they asked the Wiggles, an Australian group, to write the theme song for the Disney program, which is pretty cool. And so we went in the Wiggles, from playing Blacktown RSL to Madison Square Garden Theatre, 11 sold out shows. So bit of a journey.
An absolute journey. Okay, so you stepped away from the project last year. Was
Yeah.
there what was the turning point for that decision?
Oh, lots of things. My wife retired. She'd spent 20 years in an all-boys high school, so she needs therapy, let alone time off.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, just that stage. I'm now 60, as a grandchild come. And when you're working in such a job, it's full on. It's
Mm.
24/7. And I wanted some time to spend with my wife, with my family, and so on. And also, I reckon mission completed, job done. I got them into 190 countries. We've sold 30 million CDs and DVDs. And as I say, even with the latest iteration of the Wiggle, with the first female Emma in the group and so on, every time we had a lineup change, it was like starting again.
Mm.
So absolutely, and also more and more as the years progress, they did more and more themselves. I said where I produced and directed their videos and TV. Well, they did most of that nowadays. There's a lot of the stuff that got absorbed into the gig. So, yeah, job well done, I think. And so it was time. Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
How has managing such a juggernaut success changed the way you approach your solo project then?
Look, it's a bit of a revelation because, we got a song coming out tomorrow, a film clip called This Way to Love and Happiness. There's a plug. And shooting that clip, it was me that had to line up the church, the crew, makeup person. Whereas before I go, hey, mate, can you line this up for me? Hey, Luke, can you do this? It was all solo, and that's profoundly different. But it's good. If something goes wrong, it's moi, but it's great. And the way I've done things forever is working with family and friends, and same with the solo album. I got my mates to play on the album, good friends like Casey Chambers and Jimmy Barnes to sing with me on the album, which is fantastic and very good of them to do it. And it made just the whole project, as everything I've done over the 40 years, we enjoy it first, and if something comes from it, happy days. But that's the main reason we've done this, because, as I said, at age 60, I'm still doing it because I love it.
That's the only reason you should be doing things, in my opinion. So you were just
100%.
kind of jamming with mates, and then you decided, wait, let's make this an actual album. Is that sort of the impetus for it?
Yeah, kind of. I actually, once I retired, literally a couple of weeks later, COVID started. So the world changed. Yeah, and I'd luckily shot the clip for Valentine's Day in Nashville when I was over there prior to that. And so luckily, because I went, and Jimmy, being a good friend, rang to see how I was going, which is what he does often. And we were just chatting away. And I said, actually, I've got this song. I'll probably do an EP or something. And he said, why do an EP? Make it an album. You and Johnny should write some songs and da-da-da. And so it began from there. So good on you, Jimmy. He kicked me along. And, of course, I had plenty of time during the COVID lockdown. So it was kind of good for me.
Hell yeah, you need friends like that. Okay, so the album's called Love Songs for Lonely People, and it's a collection of originals and covers that are special to you. And I'm curious if you've got a song on there that's dedicated to your daughter Bernadette at all.
Oh, there's a part of Bernadette in everything I sing and do. And for those who don't know, I lost my daughter Bernadette in 1988 from SIDS, cot death. And her passing makes you sometimes feel that there is no music. But it has been a driver for me, and it's a very good point. She's part of everything I do.
That's lovely. Are the songs that are special to you significant from different periods of your life, or are they more significant to you in this moment?
Yeah, good question. There are songs that I've always sung. There's a song called Walk in the Room, which has been a huge hit from the Searchers in the 60s to the 80s. And that was one of the first songs I learned. And I remember playing in a club in the Cross, and a girl came up to me and she said, "Can you do that kangaroo song?" And I went, "We don't do any kangaroo songs. What do you mean?" She went, "Yeah, you did last week." I said, "Sing it to me." And she went, "Every time that you wild kangaroo," which is walk in the room, which clearly is my bad pronunciation. So that's from when I was a teenager, that song, to, we on a Sunday Arvo before cable. I'm from a family of 7. We'd always watch Elvis movies on the TV. Yeah. And there's a song, the most beautiful love song Elvis Presley did, and called "They Remind Me Too Much of You." So that's from the Elvis movies. Even though a lot of them were just kind of pop fizz, there's some gems amongst there. To You Don't Know Me, just so many great songs. And of course, we're Dylan fanatics, Stones fanatics. So I did a Bob Dylan duet with Jimmy called You Ain't Going Nowhere. We did a Stone song called Factory Girl. So in the 60s, England still is this way, and so are we a little bit, but very class system. And this is a song about going out with a factory girl,
right?
Who wears scarves instead of hats, which in the 60s was a sign, right? But having sung the song, I'd much rather go out with a factory girl than the posh one.
Oh, nice. It's like the opposite of Uptown Girl, then.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So yeah, they're all the songs are part of me, part of my music fanaticism. I got to meet the Stones at one stage there. So, if a bus hits me, I can die a happy man. Yeah.
I mean, knock on wood. We still want the album to come out.
Yeah. Hey, it'll sell really well. Come on.
Oh, okay. You touched on it earlier that in your time in the Cockroaches, you guys, I think I read somewhere you did like 300 gigs in 1 year. The Wiggles was a churn and burn. Over 10 million live concert tickets were sold over that span. And now you're doing your solo project. How do you stay motivated and enthusiastic in all of these projects? Do you ever have days where you have absolute brain fog, or is it, how do you rise and grind every day?
Oh, look, seriously, back to it, is music is what I love. Right? And it was kind of part of our DNA. My mum is someone you actually ask your mother to turn it down, right? She loves music. And she, as I said, there were 7 of us. Yeah. She said, learning to play music is as important as learning to read and write. And so that's how much music has been a part of our lives. So everything I've spoken about, I've done it because it was fun to do and we love doing it, So it's never a chore. It never has been. And, even those gigs, we love playing gigs, and we were part of a house in the area, really, in pub rock, where, we do a regular pub gig, then we do like uni college balls. So we do sometimes 3 gigs in a night.
Wow.
Where you'd be coming on, say 9 to 11 or something at the pub gig, come on at 1 a.m. at a uni college, and then 3 a.m, which is kind of a hell of a gig. But there were just gigs everywhere. Every pub was a venue. And we entertained ourselves, which also seemed to entertain the audience. And I think that's why we got lots of punters to come see us, and those early uni gigs were great. I mean, we did one at Sydney Uni where we come on at 1 a.m. And the band that came on after us had just came over from Perth called In Excess. And so there was Michael Hutchins in leather pants, which at the time was like, God help us, where did this guy get them from, let alone he was a star from the word go. Even at 2:30 in the morning, you went, these guys are going to go places. So a great era that we're lucky enough to be a part of.
Oh, the stories you have. Do you see a lot of live music still then?
Yeah, I do. Well, everything's pre-COVID, but yeah, I do. Absolutely. And, I've got my nieces and nephews are right into it. They play a lot of music, and my niece Sophia is fanatic is the word. She puts me to shame. She's out in the pre-COVID era, 5-6 nights a week seeing bands. And I remember when she was younger, she's still in high school, and I took her down down to pub in Leichhardt to see the Vines. And it was one of those actually great rock and roll gigs where there was a bit of kerfuffle on stage. People walked off. It was pure rock and roll. So, yeah, I still go to gigs a lot.
You're like, this was me once. Remember this.
Oh, she loved it too. She loved just being in there. So it was great.
You've managed a very successful group. You've toured in a band, and you've been with your partner for over 40 years. What is your keys to success in a partnership, whether that's in love or through work or what have you?
That's a really good question. Again, I don't want to simplify things, but we love each other deeply, and we tick a lot of the boxes with each other. Not that we planned that, but it's kind of insane. I'm Paul, she's Pauline, she's the middle child of seven, I'm the middle child of seven. She went to a high school called St. Joseph, so did I. Both of our fathers, this is kind of spooky stuff, but both of our fathers in their 30s should have passed away but survived. Right. Her father survived a mining accident. He lost his arm. My father flatlined with a coronary and survived. So just kind of amazing stuff like that. But, man, she's just fantastic to be with, fun to be with. I don't know from her behalf what I'm like to be with, but she's very supportive, and she's willing to go along with stuff where, me leaving my job to go full time with the band, huge decision, but we just trust each other. And so there are some things like if it's music, and of course she's got her own taste and the rest of it, but she'll trust me to pick the soundtrack as we drive. The little things like buying a house, she literally did it without me seeing the house. Wow. And I was overseas because this stuff she knows. She's from Sydney Uni graduate. She knows more than me about life and things. So there's a huge amount of trust in lots of areas, but yeah, we have, we wanted to have a family. We were lucky enough to be able to have a family, and we just love each other. That's kind of the punchline, and we support each other and trust each other. So, but the main thing is, we do have a lot of fun together. And one of the great things about COVID was spending a heap of time with her. It was fantastic, and we've travelled a lot over the recent years, and that's the thing. Make time for each other is the big one.
Yeah, I imagine this would have been like the most intense period you've been able to spend with each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which it's been great, again, we made, and she's great suggesting things, but over those decades in the jobs I've done, and they're quite varied, but a lot of the time I'm away. So she said, we need to take time to be with each other. We need to take time to go on holidays with the kids. And so, because there comes a time when your kids don't want to go away with you. And so we made sure we did over the decades. And I'm really glad for that because, as I say, if everything stopped and we weren't able to travel again, we've really done a lot.
That's amazing. Trust, love, and having fun.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the plan after the album's out then?
Wow, that's the big one, isn't it? Is there life after the album's out?
Definitely.
Look, just to promote it firstly, and also to perform. I've got we do gigs, private functions, other things. I've got my rockabilly band, the Sacred Hearts. So I'll just keep doing stuff, performing, helping out where I can. My brother John's a great songwriter. He wrote all the hits for the Cockroaches. He wrote over 300 songs, including Hot Potato for the Wiggles.
He helped you on this album.
Yeah, and he writes for musicals and shows. So I'm going to help him out, getting him out there to perhaps get writing for other shows and so on, and including an idea that we've got with ourselves. So we'll just keep trying things,
You don't stop at all. Well,
no.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. And sorry I talked too much, actually, but there you go.
No, I've loved every moment of it. Don't worry. It's all very interesting.
Oh, good on you. Lovely to speak to you and meet you too.
Yeah, likewise.